You think you know your life. You wake up, go to work, pay your bills, kiss your wife goodnight. But sometimes, life has a way of slapping you across the face and saying, "Wake up, idiot." My slap? It came from a dashcam recording my neighbor wasn't even looking for. I had a good life, or so I thought. A stable job, a comfortable home, and a wife, Emily, who had been my partner for years. Lately, though, she had been acting different. Not in the obvious, cheating movie cliché kind of way. No sudden changes in perfume, no lipstick on the collar, no secretive text she tried to hide. It was subtler. She had been too happy, too engaged, too present when I came home from work, as if she was compensating for something. I should have noticed it sooner. I travel for work a few times a month, and Emily never seemed to mind. If anything, she encouraged it. "Go make that money, babe. I'll be fine here." And I believed her, because I was an idiot. The week everything unraveled. I had just returned from a 3-day business trip. I was exhausted, craving nothing but a cold beer and my own bed. When I pulled into my driveway, my neighbor, Mike, was outside messing with his car. He wasn't the chatty type, just a nod and wave kind of guy. But that day, he called me over. Said he had been going through old dashcam footage, trying to check something unrelated. Some kids messing around near his truck the other night. But while skimming through the recordings, he saw something weird. At first, I didn't think much of it. Probably just some stray cat or a raccoon. But then he turned the screen toward me, hit play, and my world collapsed in real time. It was my backyard, clear as day, captured from just the right angle where his car was parked. A man I didn't recognize was walking through the side alley, checking over his shoulder like a thief. Then, moving quickly but cautiously, he slipped through my back gate, disappearing into my yard. 5 seconds later, Emily appeared. She opened the door for him. She was waiting for him. She checked around, making sure no one was watching. Then, without hesitation, she pulled him inside. The timestamp on the footage? The night before I got home. My wife had been waiting for another man in my house while I was gone. And this was only the beginning. There are moments in life when your brain refuses to process what your eyes are seeing. Your mind throws up every excuse, every possible alternative reality, just to protect you from the truth. That's exactly what happened when I saw the footage. It had to be a mistake. Maybe it was an old video. Maybe it was some door-to-door salesman or a repair guy Emily forgot to mention. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't what it looked like. But the way she moved, the way she checked over her shoulder, the way she pulled him inside with that familiarity. No, this wasn't innocent. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was planned. I could feel Mike's eyes on me as I stared at the screen, probably waiting for me to react. But I didn't. Not yet. I just nodded, muttered something like, "Huh, that's weird," and thanked him for showing me. He gave me a look. Not pity, not smugness, just a silent acknowledgement that we both knew what I had just seen. But he didn't press me, just nodded and went back to his truck. I walked into my house, and suddenly, everything felt wrong. The walls felt too close. The air felt too thick. The floor beneath my feet felt unstable. I had lived here for years, but in that moment, it didn't feel like my home anymore. It felt like a crime scene. Emily was in the kitchen, humming to herself, chopping vegetables like she wasn't the main character in a betrayal drama playing out in real time. She looked up, smiled, so effortlessly, so naturally, and said, "Hey, babe, you're home early. How was the trip?" And I just stood there, watching her. She had no idea that I knew. No idea that I had seen the footage. No idea that everything had changed. I should have confronted her right then and there. I should have demanded an answer, flipped the table, burned it all to the ground. But I didn't, because I needed more. One video of a man walking into my backyard wasn't enough. Not legally. Not for divorce. And sure as hell not for my own sanity. I needed proof. Concrete, undeniable, burn her life down evidence. So I played along. Acted normal. Kissed her cheek. Said the trip was fine. Pretended I wasn't dying inside. That night, I barely slept. I stared at the ceiling for hours, replaying every moment from the past few months. The subtle changes. The nights she didn't text me back. The way she suddenly cared more about how she looked, how she smelled, how she dressed. The new perfume that just smelled nice. All of it pointed to the same conclusion, and I had been too blind, too trusting, too stupid to see it. The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called in sick. Then I installed cameras. Not the obvious ones. Not some bulky security system that screamed, "Hey, I'm spying on you." No, I bought the small ones. The ones that could fit inside vents, inside light fixtures, hidden in plain sight. By noon, my house was wired. Every room, every entry point, every place she might think she was safe. I even put one in our bedroom, because if she was bringing him here, I needed to see it for myself. Then, I waited. And what happened next? It was so much worse than I expected. You ever feel like you're watching a movie, except the plot is your life falling apart in real time? That's what it felt like, sitting in my car a block away from my house, staring at my phone screen, watching the truth unfold in 1080p clarity. I had set up the cameras earlier that day, every angle covered, every blind spot eliminated. Then I made an excuse to leave town again, just for the night. Told Emily I had to drive out for an emergency work meeting. She kissed me goodbye like she wasn't planning to betray me before I even hit the highway. I parked my car where she wouldn't see it. Then I pulled up the live feed. And there he was. 15 minutes after I left, she checked the front window, made sure the coast was clear, and then texted someone. Less than 20 minutes later, a black BMW pulled up. Same guy from the dashcam footage. Same confident strut. Same routine. Emily let him in like clockwork. No hesitation. No second thoughts. No guilt. The moment he stepped inside, she laughed, ran her fingers through his hair, and pulled him in for a kiss. Not just a kiss. The kind of kiss that told me this wasn't new. This wasn't fresh. This had been going on for a long, long time. My stomach twisted, but I forced myself to keep watching. Because if I turned away now, if I let myself break before I got everything I needed, she'd still win. They moved through the house with a disgusting familiarity, straight to the kitchen, where she poured him a drink. They sat on my couch, the same one where we watched movies, where we laughed, where she curled up next to me like she wasn't a liar. Then, he started talking. I had positioned a mic near the TV, just subtle enough to pick up voices. When I turned up the volume, his words hit me like a freight train. He really has no idea, does he? Emily laughed. Nope. He's clueless. He just eats up whatever I tell him. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. And you're sure he won't find out? The guy asked. Are you kidding? He's too busy working. He trusts me. He has no reason to suspect a thing. The casual way she said it, like I was some joke to her, like my trust was a weakness instead of a gift, made my blood boil. Then she said something that changed everything. Besides, it's not like I'm the only one with secrets. I froze. The guy raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Emily smirked. Let's just say, if he ever tries to pull something, I have leverage. Leverage? What leverage? My mind raced through every possibility. Had she been digging through my financials? Setting me up for something? Spying on me the way I was spying on her? I didn't know, but I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't just an affair. This was a game, and she thought she had already won. But I wasn't playing to lose. I ended the live feed, saved every second of footage, and stepped on the gas. By the time I got home, she wouldn't even see me coming. There's a strange clarity that comes with betrayal. When you see the full picture, when you realize that the person you built your life with was nothing more than a liar wrapped in good intentions, something inside you clicks. It's not sadness. It's not heartbreak. It's cold, calculating precision. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I wasn't the same man who had left a few hours ago. The old me, the one who trusted Emily, the one who ignored the small signs, the one who believed in love, was already dead. The man stepping out of that car? He was here to burn everything to the ground. I didn't kick the door open. I didn't scream. I didn't act like some guy in a revenge movie. No, I walked inside calmly, because I already knew I had one. The living room was empty, but I could hear them. Upstairs. Our bedroom. My bedroom. I walked through the house like a stranger. Every object, every framed photo, every piece of furniture felt foreign now. Like I had stepped into an abandoned memory of a life that never actually existed. At the base of the stairs, I pulled out my phone, opened the app, and pressed play. The speakers in the house, our Bluetooth surround system, came alive. My wife's own voice filled every corner of the house. Are you kidding? He's clueless. He just eats up whatever I tell him. Laughter. Their laughter. Besides, it's not like I'm the only one with secrets. There was a crash upstairs. A thud. Frantic movement. I took my time climbing the stairs, step by step, until I reached the bedroom door. I didn't even have to open it. Emily threw it open herself, standing there in just a bedsheet, panic written all over her face. "What did you do?" she shrieked. I smiled. "I let you talk." And then he appeared. The guy, let's just call him Mr. BMW, stood behind her, shirtless, wide-eyed, looking like a deer caught in oncoming traffic. My oncoming traffic. Emily was still screaming, but I wasn't listening. I was watching him, because the way his eyes darted around, the way his muscles tensed, the way he looked at me, it wasn't the look of some guy who just realized he got caught. It was the look of a guy who realized he was in real danger. And that's when it hit me. He wasn't just some random fling. He was in on it. Besides, it's not like I'm the only one with secrets. Leverage. Emily had leverage. I let out a slow breath, exhaling through my nose, and smiled. Not a friendly smile. Not an angry one. The kind of smile that lets people know the game is already over. I pulled out my phone again and swiped through a series of files. Video. Audio. Screenshots. "Let's talk about leverage, Emily," I said, watching as her face went pale. "Because I'm pretty sure you just lost all of yours." The color drained from her cheeks. She knew. And Mr. BMW? He looked like he wanted to run. Too bad. Because now? It was my turn to play. I stood there in the doorway, looking at the wreckage of what used to be my marriage, and I realized something. This wasn't just cheating. This wasn't some stupid fling that got out of hand, some drunken mistake she'd spend weeks sobbing over. This was war. Planned. Executed. And she had the audacity to think she'd win. Emily was still clutching the bedsheet like it could shield her from reality, her eyes darting between my phone and my face, trying to calculate just how bad this was for her. Mr. BMW stood behind her, frozen, his whole body tense, his fight-or-flight response clearly stuck between run and beg. But I wasn't here for explanations. I wasn't here for apologies. I was here to end this. I raised my phone higher, my thumb hovering over the screen, and watched Emily's breathing hitch. "You want to talk about leverage?" I said, my voice calm, too calm, the kind of calm that makes people uneasy because they know it's not going to last. "Because I think it's time we put all our cards on the table." She shook her head, eyes wide with panic, her lips trembling like she was about to start pleading, but I wasn't giving her the chance. I hit play. Her own voice came screaming through the house speakers, echoing down the halls, filling every inch of space like a funeral dirge for our marriage. "Are you kidding? He's clueless. He just eats up whatever I tell him." Mr. BMW flinched like he'd been shot. Emily gasped, her hands flying to her mouth, shaking her head so fast it looked like she was trying to physically rewind time. But it was too late. I had given her all the rope she needed to hang herself. "You think I'm clueless?" I said, tilting my head slightly, watching her crumble in real time. "You really thought you could sit there in my house, in my bed, and laugh about how stupid I am? You thought I'd never find out?" She was breathing too fast now, her chest rising and falling like a panicked animal, her fingers digging into the bedsheet as if she could hold on to the last shreds of her life before it collapsed completely. "It's not what you think," she choked out, her voice a cracked whisper, but I cut her off with a laugh, sharp, humorless, lethal. "Oh, that's rich. That's really rich. Because what I think, Emily, is that you didn't just cheat on me. You built a whole joke around it. You sat there with your little boyfriend and turned me into a punchline while I was out working to make sure you had a roof over your head. Tell me, what part of that am I misunderstanding?" Her lips trembled. Her hands shook. But I wasn't finished. I turned my attention to Mr. BMW, who was still standing there like a complete idiot, shifting uncomfortably like he was waiting for someone to call cut and end the nightmare. "And you," I said, my voice dropping lower, colder. What exactly did she tell you? That we were separated? That I was some neglectful husband who didn't appreciate her? That you were some big hero coming in to save her from a loveless marriage? He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing as he tried to find words that wouldn't make things worse for himself. Spoiler alert, there weren't any. He started, but I held up a hand, shutting him down instantly. I don't actually care what your excuse is, I said, voice sharp enough to cut through steel. Because you're not the problem. She is. I turned back to Emily, who was now crying for real. Not the fake manipulative sobs, not the desperate, forgive me, tears. Real, terrified crying. Because she knew. She knew. She had lost. I could have just left. I continued, my voice smooth, deadly calm. I could have walked away, taken the high road, let you and whatever other men you've been with rot in your own mess. But see, that was before I found out about the leverage. Her entire body locked up. That's when I knew I was right. Her betrayal wasn't just about another man. There was something bigger. You were going to use something against me, I said, taking a slow step forward, watching as she actually backed away from me. You sat there and said it like it was nothing, like I wouldn't find out, like you had already figured out how to ruin me if I ever got too close to the truth. So tell me, Emily, what was it? What did you think you had on me? She lost it. She started shaking her head violently, hands raised, voice high-pitched and frantic. No, you don't understand. I don't. I cut her off, my tone colder than ever. Then explain it. Right now. Because I'm this close to making sure every single person we know gets a copy of these recordings. Your parents, your boss, your friends. I will end you, Emily. So unless you want that, you better start talking. She broke. Right there, standing in our bedroom, she cracked wide open. And when the truth finally came spilling out, it was worse than I imagined. You ever brace yourself for a truth, thinking you're ready, thinking you've already taken the worst hit possible, only to realize you had no idea what was coming? That was me, standing in that bedroom, watching my wife shake, watching her lips tremble, watching her mind race for an escape that didn't exist anymore. And then she told me, not in some dramatic, villainous confession, not in a carefully planned explanation. No, it came out like a last-ditch survival instinct, like she knew the walls were closing in and she only had one chance to save herself. She had been stealing from me. Not just emotionally, not just through lies and betrayal, financially, legally. While I had been working long hours, trusting her to handle the day-to-day finances of our life, she had been moving money, thousands of dollars, little by little, into an account I didn't even know existed. At first, I didn't react. I just stared at her, at the pathetic, sniveling mess she had become, my mind doing the math, because I should have noticed. The little things, the extra spending she excused as treating herself, the sudden emergencies where she needed to borrow from our savings, the months where I worked extra shifts to cover bills that shouldn't have even been a problem. And what did she spend it on? Him, his car payments, their hotel stays, their trips, my money, funding their affair. The anger that hit me wasn't a fire. It was an explosion. I had already planned to leave, already planned to expose her, to humiliate her, to rip my life free from hers. But this changed the game, because now I could ruin her in ways she hadn't even considered. I didn't yell, didn't scream, didn't break anything. No, I did something that made her shake even harder. I smiled. That was when she truly realized I wasn't the same man she thought she had control over. You know what's funny? I said, pulling out my phone, my voice calm, too calm. I was going to just walk away, maybe send a few videos to the right people, watch your social life crumble. But now? I opened my banking app, pulled up every suspicious withdrawal I could find, scrolled through months of stolen money. Now, I think I'll let the law handle this. She lunged forward, hands grabbing my arms, her nails digging in like she thought she could physically pull me away from the truth. No, please, you don't understand. It wasn't like that. I was going to put it back. Put it back? I laughed. A real, deep, amused laugh. Emily, you embezzled from your own husband. You do realize that's a felony, right? She stopped breathing. I could see it happen. The exact moment her brain caught up, the moment reality finally hit. Affairs? People forgive those. Lies? You can weasel your way around them. But financial fraud? That leaves paper trails. That gets judges involved. That makes sure you don't just lose your house. You lose your future. I stepped back, out of her reach, flipping through my phone contacts, scrolling until I found exactly who I needed. A lawyer. She started crying. Real crying. Not the fake, manipulative sobs she used to use on me. Not the panicked screaming when I first walked in. No, this was pure, undiluted fear. Because she knew. She knew this wasn't just a divorce anymore. This was destruction. I let her sob. Let her beg. Let her watch me dial the number. Because she deserved every second of the terror sinking into her bones. When I finally left that house, I didn't take a single thing with me. Not a bag. Not a keepsake. Not a single reminder of the life I had built with a woman who never deserved it. But I did take one thing. Her future. Because when you gamble with people's trust, when you lie, steal, and destroy the life of the one person who would have done anything for you, there's only one way the story ends. And Emily? She lost. Completely. Divorce was easy. She got nothing. No house, no savings, no spousal support. The lawyer ensured that every single stolen penny was accounted for. And Mr. BMW? He didn't stick around long after her world collapsed. Turns out, he wasn't looking for a relationship. He was looking for an easy life. And when Emily became a liability instead of a prize, he walked away without looking back. Last I heard, she had moved in with a distant cousin, hopping between jobs, trying to rebuild what she lost. Meanwhile, I thrived. I bought a new place, focused on myself, traveled for myself. For the first time in years, I was free. And if there's one thing I learned from all of this, the best revenge isn't anger. It isn't violence. It isn't even exposing someone. It's walking away with everything, while they're left with nothing.